Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you the final game in this 9-game series in the Korea-China Invitational League between Mihu and Saber. It's been one-sided, okay? We had a couple games where it definitely looked like Saber could have taken Mihu down, but just unable to finish him off. Maybe one or two little mistakes just going wrong for him, and Mihu just continuing forward with his just unrelenting pressure. So, you know, this is his last chance to try to redeem himself here, right? We're on Polypoid. Positionally, it looks decent for Saber. I explained this in the last Polypoid game about how, you know, when their natural is to back you on Polypoid, that is helpful for the Zerg Mutilus Craftsman. Maybe we'll see something like that. But yeah, I'm just hoping that somehow we get this, let me switch those colors. That was looking a little bit confusing. Somehow we get this a little bit closer in this final match, at least. Hopefully Saber will eventually be able to take a game here. Well, I guess eventually is running out of time, right? This is it. This is the end of the match. This is the final game. A 9-0 would just be the absolute domination from Mihu. Saber, I'm sure, is still going to put in some effort to try to pick up a victory here. Either way, thank you for watching ArtosisCasts. Hope that you're enjoying. I know that this particular series was one-sided, but these are not things that I like check beforehand. You know, you can't just stop halfway through a series or something, I think. You know, you got to give Saber the benefit of the doubt on coming back. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen here. I think that this is probably going to be the most one-sided match in the whole Korea-China Invitational League, because I think that these were pretty good handpicked matches. Like you saw, Xiaoshui versus Paralyzed was a very good match, very close down to the wire. Here, it's like Saber is probably the weakest of the Korean invites, and Mihu is the strongest. So you know, maybe this was the biggest mismatch we could have had realistically. Either way, here's to hoping that we get a nice game out of Saber and maybe a victory to end this series on. So it looks like a standard 2-hatchery Mutalisk opener. Most likely Mutalisk opener. Obviously, one game so far we did see the 2-hatchery Lurker opener, which was one of the ones that I thought that he should have ended up winning. But yeah, I would imagine it'll just be straight into those mutas. One thing we've definitely learned about Saber's play is he likes to make his full contingent mutas before he considers going into Lurkers. Right? And there's a big range of what you can do. Like, some people just make like 4 to 6 mutas and go into Lurkers. Some people go only muta, right? Some people like what we've seen so far from Saber. He likes specifically get out a full group of like 11 mutas, maybe even a couple more, and then go into that Lurker tech. Which is fine. Like, it's really kind of up to you, your play style, the way that you want to play it. Because they all play very, very differently, right? Like, some you're trying to sneak the Lurker in and keep your opponent on the back foot, like, and then others you're trying to actually deal the damage and actually punish, which is like what we're seeing here from Saber, but it's just not working out for him thus far. Maybe something like the quicker Lurker could be useful here. Mihu goes ahead and goes directly into an Academy Rush, kind of as expected. His command center going to be finishing up here just very shortly. And yeah, this is an interesting thing to watch Mihu's variation of the build, where he gets that 5th Marine before, you know, without the 3rd depot. A lot of times, like for instance, if you see Sharp do this exact same strategy, which is 2 racks Academy Rush, he'll get the 5 Marines before the command center finishes, but he'll do it with a 3rd depot. Like, he'll put a 3rd depot like somewhere like here. So what Mihu is certainly doing here is like skipping like 1 SCV maybe to get that extra power boost in the Marines, which is fine. You know, there's all these little trade-offs in StarCraft that you can choose to do or choose not to do, and that's part of what expresses your style and what you like, what you're comfortable with. Now, Zergling speed was researched pretty quickly here from Saber, but it's not something I think he's going to utilize offensively. You know, he hasn't done any big Zergling attacks at all through the series, and you can see this is like a really good setup against that. You'd have to make like you'd have to be heavily all in on Zerglings to break this, and then you would actually probably win the game. But it's such a risk, because if they feel it coming at all and they do something like a bunker or pull like 3 SCVs to put in front, you're pretty much screwed as Zerg. The game is pretty much over. So no big risk like that coming out of our Zerg player. Is making that third base on location in bottom left. And that's, of course, what you want to see. That cross spawn going to be very hard to attack. That's one thing that Mihu's been good about, though, is trying to split off some bio to kind of sneak around and get the drones that expand. Always, always a strong move. You'll see that at, all levels of play, but especially at pro level, you see that very, very often. By the way, once again from Mihu with the very fast factory. He has been in the second half of the series favoring a lot of, tank rushes and stuff. So, yeah, that's interesting to see as well. No +1 yet. Let's see if he gets it. If he's going to get +1, he's got to get it pretty soon. Doesn't make too much sense to delay it this much. Maybe it'll be that weird mech switch again. Honestly, that mech switch we saw on Nemesis, I've never seen anything quite like it. And it worked, but I don't think it's something that should work, right? Things work all the time in StarCraft that probably should not. And what we mean by that, you could win one game with anything in any situation, truly. But if you look at it okay, long term, is this something that you could consistently do and people kind of know about it? Would it end up working a lot of times over a lot of games over a lot of opponents? And I think the answer to something like that's no. We'll see. He is getting +1, so we don't know if it'll be a mech switch or something. It certainly won't be the same as we saw in Nemesis, regardless. Right now, it's looking... It could be a Valkyrie rush. It could be a Science Vessel rush. Okay, it's a Valkyrie rush. We just saw the armory start. There it is. And he's hiding the armory kind of towards the center of his base. He's trying to zone everything out so that, our Zerg player doesn't know what's going on. And by the way, he's just continuing to produce Mutalisks. Probably make drones down here. Yeah, very standard stuff. We've really learned a lot about his style. A little bit predictable there. So maybe this Valkyrie rush is a really good idea, considering we're normally seeing 11 mutas before the Hydralisk Den. Which means the Hydralisk Den probably should come up right now. Oh, look at that. See? This is I talk about this type of thing sometimes, especially when I'm streaming, right, where it's having variety and stuff. And so we see, just casting this series, we've learned a hell of a lot about his style. He likes to go 11 Mutalisks into the Hydralisk Den, go up into Quick Hive, so on and so forth. And it's a very solid way to play. There's nothing inherently wrong with what he's doing. But certainly it feels like Mihu might be catching on to this, because he's used a wider variety of play than his opponent has here in this series. So he's going to have that Valkyrie out pretty quickly. A little bit of harassment goes down. That turret, by the way, you might be wondering why he didn't finish. You can't get in there to repair it. That's why. He attacked it twice, and then you just let it burn down. You can actually, with +1 attack and a full stack of mutas, two-shot a turret. Here, you two-shot, and it's so red, it'll just burn up. So the mutas continue to harass the natural a little bit. Coming back in, there's a Valkyrie, so that should sit over here near the turrets and look for hits. He doesn't want to let it die, though. This is the tricky thing. You see the Valkyrie, and you really want to do the Valkyrie micro, because if the Valkyrie gets stuck in position when it's firing, so you want it sliding backwards, which is what Valkyrie micro does. Yeah, we'll see. Because if it gets sniped off, man, the Zerg player can get really far ahead. Okay, nice volley. Gets a lot of damage on one muta there. Hydra's popping out for that continuation into Lurkers. Hive about halfway done. Are we going to get the science facility? +1 armor gets started. An additional barracks is coming up. And it looks... I mean, it might be a tank Valkyrie push, just straight up. 2 tanks plus Valkyries into a push is a very, very strong strategy. It's not that hard to accomplish as the Terran player. You just kind of defend reasonably well and get across the map without dying to Lurkers or mutas and set up. And then you have this position where the tanks are doing all the damage and the Marines and Valkyries just kind of protect them. And yeah, that can be very hard for Zerg to clear. Now, this is a huge amount of Mutalisks. He's got 17 mutas plus Scourge out on the map. So this can be a very good counter to this. But you have to kill the Valkyries quickly. If you kill the Valkyries before they shoot multiple volleys, you can just win the game by exterminating the rest of the army, because then there's no real continuation. It's not like you're building up science vessels. We don't have +2 attack start yet or anything like that. So I think that's what we're going to see Saber going for here, like a very brutal shutdown of this tank push. Which, again, it does hinge on killing those Volks. Now, the Volks... Ooh, the Volks are actually out of position here. Is he leaving those on purpose? I don't know. That could have been, like, he could have thought that there was going to be a counterattack into his main base, so he's leaving them halfway. And then as soon as he saw the mutas bring him up, that is a possibility. Hard to say. The tanks move forward and immediately start attacking the creep colony. Siege mode is not quite ready. And honestly, I think that Consume is quick enough here. I don't think he'll break through. Like, he can do some damage here. He can kill Sunkens. He can maybe kill a few Lurkers, maybe a few drones and things like that. But Consume is going to finish before he gets the hatchery, that's for sure. So I don't see the base itself going down for Saber. Ooh, very nice volleys there. Gets rid of a couple Scourge. Defiler is out. Consume almost done. The tank push is not super fast here. All right, scans to start hitting Lurkers. And Consume is just about to finish. Oh my god, the Muta's getting absolutely shredded. He does throw down the Darkstorm, though, so he saves the base, but loses basically all of the Mutas. There's 2 very red Mutas left over. The Valkyries have certainly done their damage. Tough position now, losing all those Mutas. You can see how his supply just plummeted, right? That was 20 supply of Mutas just evaporated in a matter of seconds while he tried to get those Consume out and the Darkstorm down. So Mihu looks like he's going to leave just a very small force here. The Marines to just kind of stop anything from running up too quickly. You're going to have to basically use 2 Darkstorms to slide up and destroy this completely. See, 1. And this buys him time to just move back a little bit, and he will just move back in siege. So a nice little small containment. The siege tanks aren't worth very much here, so he's just going to utilize those to slow everything else down. Looks like the Valkyries plus Marines going to rotate over towards this 3rd base location. He's going to clear out a lot of the Overlords here. So getting rid of quite a bit of that vision. The few remaining Mutalisks on anti-drop. Mihu with the double expansion. And another Darkstorm push out. So, okay, let's try to take a look at the actual spot we're in. So Mihu is expanding a lot, and he's keeping a lot of pressure forward. The one thing he's missing is science vessels. He is creating them now. We see, like, there's the first 2 vessels that have popped out. It doesn't seem like he has a radiate energy ready for them. But that's the main thing, right? Like, the Darkstorm can deal with all of this pretty darn well. It looks like he will lose the Defiler. A little bit sloppy right there. Comes up again, throws down another Darkstorm. There are a few Firebats in here, but not enough to deal with Lurkers, that's for sure. They can deal with a few Lings, maybe kill the Defiler if he's hiding under there, but has to pull back. So this is like a stalling army, and this here is just a very small stalling army, which, by the way, super fast reaction there from Mihu. But, yeah, without the Irradiates, he's not really killing that much for Zerg. Like, there are things about the position that are getting stronger right now as that 4th base gets taken. Look at this. Runs up, burrows. You know, you're running out of scans here as Mihu. Definitely need to get those vessels into play. Now, can he actually get this base? Oh my god, there's only 3 Lurkers here. Mihu's scanning. Oh, the spines, though, are amazing. Look at that. 15 or 14 Marines and medics there killed off by these Lurker spines. So he will hold on to this hatchery for now. If he can get this 4th base up, that's a very nice, quick 4th base. Now, that's not to say that that is just some sort of free win, because Mihu got his 4 bases up exceedingly quickly this game. He's got some good macro going on. Double starport. Probably wants to add another starport here as well as he gets this 3rd gas up. Throwing his bunkers down as he always does at these additional bases. And just kind of getting around the map with some of these bioforces. You definitely need them out there to intercept some of these little raiding parties that are going to be sent out from Saber. Now, Saber looks like he's going to hit this 4th base, and there's no vision on the path. Okay, the Lings come up. Okay, back up. They're going to be Defiler food for the most part. And he should be able to shut this base down. Like, Mihu is out of position for that. He's got a contain going on, which is okay. But this is going to be a nice counterattack. That's going to be very annoying for Mihu to deal with. So down goes the Dark Storm. Okay, you got to lift that. You got to run for now. So that's a good shutdown. This is something we haven't seen so far in this series from Saber, right? Like we were talking about it a lot on the Vermeer game, the more recent Vermeer game, not the early one, where it's like he has opportunities to shut down bases and he wasn't taking it. You need to shut down that mining, and he has done so. So that's a very sloppy thing for Mihu to clean up. This is very clean for Saber. For Mihu, he's got to send like vessels, maybe some marines, you know, has to hit his irradiates. It's going to take a while. Nice run in there, though. Does get the Defiler. It does snap down a Dark Storm, though, so no worries about losing this base, at least as of yet. Eats a Scourge. Going to look maybe for a Plague coming up here. Has that full energy. And there's the Dark Storm plus Plague. Very nice move. A single fire bat here will be able to kill off that Defiler. Oh, that's too bad. He actually runs it away. And the Valkyrie's still actually giving a lot of value here as well. Wow, picking off quite a few Overlords and giving a big supply block. Now a huge amount of Scourge turn and try to catch these. Bio coming up to stop them. Wow, Mihu just everywhere at once. Speaking of which, expanding to that top left. Looks like he finally wants to try to clean this up. It is taking a lot of focus and attention, though. We don't see any pressure down here. We don't see any pressure down here. Mihu, instead, he's retreating a bit. He's trying to regroup. He's trying to clear out this base. So you can see how much damage this has really done. It didn't necessarily kill a lot, but a lot of lost mining time and a lot of focus going here. So that's allowing more units to get out on the map right now for Saber. I feel like Saber is doing a good job here once again. This is definitely one of his top 3 games of the series as far as having some potential within it. He's got 4 bases up and mining cleanly. He's got a very healthy drone count. In fact, more workers than Mihu. Look at this. 5 Ultras on the way as well. He's got some units out on the map, which Mihu has not been able to block. In fact, maybe he can get up here and cancel the command center, something like that. Or maybe he's going to go for this 4th base once again. A little bit hard to tell. The Defiler does get irradiated, so whatever he's going to do, he's got to do it quickly. Ultra's coming up. Is this going to be a good trade? Okay, the upgrades are even right now, so the Ultras will do reasonably well against this force. Defiler coming as well. And Mihu's supply isn't nearly as high as we've seen in some of these other games, right? Like, we're actually tied up in supply. Just some very small changes from Saber, and you can see a huge difference in the result, right? I think chief amongst them was this move. Not only did it shut down a lot of mining for Mihu, but he also made Mihu withdraw for a moment, take the pressure off him. Now he's everywhere. Look at this. He's forcing a liftoff here at the 3rd base, hitting into the natural with a Dark Swarm. Not necessarily game-ending, but definitely a good spot suddenly here for Saber. It's these little things that slow Terran down, that take Terran's attention. If they aren't keeping the pressure on you, well, I mean, this is going to be the dumbest sentence I ever said, but if Terran isn't keeping the pressure on you as Zerg, there's no pressure, and you can do whatever you want. And you can see that Saber, when he can do whatever he wants, definitely going to be feeling very, very good. Gets Lings into this natural. This is actually going heavily Saber now. Mihu has this command center in the top left, but he knows about it, so that's going to be something that can be cleaned. Another Defiler going up into this 4th base location. So as soon as you throw the Dark Storm down, yeah, this base is done for now. I mean, obviously the command center flies, so you're not losing it. But look at that, even plagues the SCVs. That's going to screw with the medics a lot as well. Mihu with no real map control, no real map presence here. I tell you, you can see how much of Mihu's game requires him to have presence out on the map. It requires him to pressure the Zerg player. Because here, it's like he's playing cleanup, and he's not making any progress. 5th base going down for Saber. Tons of units coming out from every which way. His macro really has found its stride. And I tell you what, okay, this game, I feel like Saber has finally broken through. I mean, it's a little bit late being game 9, but it looks like it's going to end up going towards him, right? Like, this is not a position where you just come back as Terran with no map control. Like, when your opponent is showing up at your bases with Defilers 2, 3, 4 times, that's a game every Terran in the world loses. So I tell you, it took a little bit, but I think Saber has found his stride. He's found Mihu's weakness. He just has to keep that pressure on. You know, obviously that's like kind of a general rule against Zerg anyways, but certainly not as good at cleaning things up as in attacking his opponent. So as these Darkstorms go up the ramp, Saber may be picking up his first victory. There's not a lot left here for Mihu. The Ultras and Lings cleaning up a lot here at this natural expansion. And with another Defiler coming up, another Darkstorm sure to land on top of the barracks, on top of the Terran production. One of the best ways to win against the Terran race. This should be just about game now. This base is not mining. This base barely mining, not for long. This base unable to mine. This base not mining. Mihu's got nothing left. He's below 100 supply and finally shows some weakness here. Yeah, Saber 100% going to be able to take this game and finally put his name on the board. A big cheers to Saber. He stayed in it. He continued to try to play his best StarCraft and finally showed us a victory. And by the way, I do want to throw this out there. It's not that Mihu played poorly this game. I don't think that he was really necessarily laxing. I think that Saber did get the one attack out that was incredibly important to make this lift. And from there, it did start to get a little bit more out of control. So very, very, very well done. The Battlecruiser is not going to be enough. GG! Mihu wins the series 8-1.